My sister lied about me getting a promotion to pay for 12 people at dinner. Don't be difficult. I paid for my family's 4 meals and left them enjoy $5,940 bill. Everyone's supper is going to be paid for by you. I take it you've been given the promotion? It was announced by my sister at a restaurant that charged $395 per person. There was nothing that I had agreed to. The word "stop being so difficult" came from Dad. On my way out, I smiled, excused myself to use the restroom, and decided to pay just for the meals that my wife and children had ordered. It was the time when my sister's voice reverberated throughout that 5-star restaurant that I realized everything was about to change. The instant the server handed the remaining $5,940 bill to their table, "Everyone's supper is going to be paid for by you. I take it you've been given the promotion?" She did not inquire about it. She made the announcement as if I had already consented to spending $6,000 on those who had spent 10 years labeling me as a nothing. There I was, staring at Beatrice with my fork halfway to my mouth as I sat there. Josie, my wife, discovered my hand tucked away beneath the table. For the purpose of watching, my 2 children stopped eating their $34 mac and cheese. I uttered out in a low voice that I did not agree to anything. Dad mumbled, "Stop being so difficult," as he continued to eat his $92 steak without looking up. I gave a friendly grin, put down my fork, excused myself to visit the restroom, and as I was walking past the maitre, I took out my black card and paid for exactly 4 meals. The sum of $1,620 includes mine, Josie's, Skylar's, and Caleb's. After that, I gathered my family together and left the room. I had already pulled out of the parking lot when the server handed the remaining $5,940 bill to their table. I was also in the process of leaving. 1 minute and 30 seconds later, my phone began to ring. I chose not to respond. I am Theo Donovan. And my name is. The age of my age is 41. It is at Donovan's Auto Repair where I am employed as a mechanic. The majority of my family members believe that I am only about staying alive. The fact that I own Donovan's Auto Repair in addition to 3 other locations is something that they are unaware of. The previous year, my stores brought in a total of $3.6 million in income. My annual income is approximately $525,000. But if you don't mind, let's pretend that I was promoted. A call from Beatrice came in when I was in the process of changing a transmission 4 weeks previously. Next month, Dad will turn 67 years old. It's time for dinner today. The Stellanos. This next Saturday, the 21st. You are going to do so. A summons, not an offer to attend. How many individuals are there? I inquired about it. The only family. Perhaps 14. My love for my father is the reason I agreed. As a union electrician, he had put in a lot of effort their entire lives. His preference for my older brother Dylan was not totally his fault, despite the fact that he had always shown it. He embodied the characteristics of his generation. A successful college son is a success. A mechanic's son is synonymous with dissatisfaction. Dylan was the most cherished sibling. The annual salary for a Stanford MBA from a corporate job in Seattle is $195,000. In no way did he allow anyone to forget it. Every time the family got together, Dylan's accomplishments were one of the topics of conversation. A worse case was Beatrice. Partnered with a dentist, resided in a McMansion, and drove a BMW that was leased. Her favorite thing to do was to make comments about how she could assist me in finding opportunities for people with your skill set. There was a suffocating level of contempt. I was the baby, the one who did not go to college, and the one who came home with oil under his fingernails. No one else followed in my footsteps. The individual that Dad stared at with an expression of dissatisfaction each time Dylan's name was spoken. Where did they lack knowledge? When I was 19 years old, I began working at Frank's auto shop for the minimum salary. In the year 23, Frank sold the company to me. At the age of 31, I had 3 residences. At the hour of 36, 4s. I did not report it to my family. What's the point? They were already set on determining who I was. Presenting them with financial statements would not alter the narrative that they are telling. They would either get bitter or begin to seek for donations as a result of it. Consequently, I remained silent, drove my 9-year-old Ford F-150, attended family gatherings dressed in my work clothes, and allowed them to think whatever they desired. The meal was meant to be a gathering of only family members, so I was taken aback when Josie and I came in and discovered 11 other people there. The entirety of Beatrice's in-law family consisted of Brian's parents, his brother, cousins, and other individuals that I had seen twice before. Take a pause. Beatrice smiled broadly. The idea of turning it into a genuine celebration struck me as a pleasant idea. Additionally, Beatrice needed bodies and seats in order to fulfill her desire to show off. In his customary tardiness, Dylan arrived from Seattle wearing a designer suit that most likely cost more than the monthly rent for the majority of individuals. Dad appeared to be in a state of discomfort as he sat at the head of the table. Despite the fact that he was not a fancy restaurant person, Beatrice insisted on going, and since her mother had passed away 4 years previously, there was no one who could say no to Beatrice. The evening got off to a good start. The drinks, the canapes, and the idle chatter. I sat in the middle of Josie and Caleb, attempting to spend quality time with my family, despite the fact that the most of them hardly noticed my existence. A excessively high sum was charged for dinner. Small pasta topped with truffle oil, priced at $68. A steak weighing 8 ounces for $118. The price of the mac and cheese for my children was $34. A dessert was also requested. And prior notice of 30 minutes was required for the chocolate soul, which cost $22 per person. Beatrice stood up at that moment and clinked her wine glass with her other hand. I would like to make a toast before dessert. Dad, you are deserving of this joyous occasion. Thank you very much for flying out, Dylan. As well as Theo. It was a smug smile that she smiled as she halted. According to what I've heard, you ended up getting promoted to shop manager. You are very welcome. Therefore, you are responsible for dinner tonight. A round of applause broke out at the table. Beatrice's father-in-law called across and said, "How generous." Brian's mother remarked on the generosity. That is the kind of man that looks out for his family. I sat incredibly still. The touch of Josie became more firm on my arm. I made it abundantly obvious that I did not receive a promotion. And I did not consent to pay for it. Betsy laughed out loud. "Oh, Theo, you shouldn't be so humble. I learned everything there is to know about it from Dylan." To add insult to injury, the family is responsible for the family, and Dad does not have this amount of money. Dylan moved, but he did not make any comment. There was nothing that he conveyed to Beatrice. It was something that she had fabricated. The words, "Stop being so difficult," came from Dad. Certainly, it is a kind act. It's something that your mother would have wanted. That was the case. To force me to obey, Mom's memories was used as a weapon. I took a look around. 11 individuals are looking at me with eager anticipation. Those who were unfamiliar. They were pleased to eat $92 steaks on my alleged promotion, but they had never asked how I was doing or what my life was like. They were just interested in my promotion. I cracked a grin. "I apologize for interrupting you, but I have to go to the restroom." Josie stood up as well. "Put on your coats, you children." Beatrice came up with the idea. "Restroom," I stated once more. "I will be back in a moment." I made a beeline for the podium reserved for the mantra. I whispered, "I need to split a check," and I meant it. "Without a doubt, Your Honor." "A party for Donovan. I have to pay for 4 meals. At this time, my spouse, our 2 children, and I are all here." It was her who retrieved the system. If you factor in the VAT and the service charge, that would amount to $1,620. If you are enjoying this story, I would appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button and then let me know in the comments where you are watching it and what time it is during that location. To say that I read each and every comment is an understatement. It means the world to me. I am appreciative of your assistance. Let's get back to the story now. It was my wallet that I took out. This is not the worn-out one that I brought to family gatherings. With my black card, the one with the thin metal frame. Centurion, a model of American Express. The annual charge is $5,500. There is no limit on expenditure. The eyes of the mantra enlarged ever so slightly. "Excellent work, sir. And the meals that are still left? That will be handled by them on their own. As soon as dessert is over, kindly deliver them their check. It is comprehended. If I were to add a gratuity to your portion, would you prefer me to do so? Put in 22%. The transaction that you did is finished. I appreciate it, sir." It was then that I gathered Josie and the children and walked out. It was 8:32 o'clock in the evening. The month of October, on a Saturday. Clear sky and a cool breeze. Josie made an effort to suppress her smile. "The fact is that you did it. They ought not to have made assumptions. Where do you think they will go from here? Probably give Dylan a call. At some point, the bill will be paid by someone. It is not my concern." According to Caleb, who is 11 years old, Aunt Beatrice is going to be really mad. Aunt Beatrice is the one who volunteered the money of another person without initially asking for it. And that is a valuable lesson. Never, ever do it. "But it was Grandpa's birthday," Skylar, who is 9 years old, remarked. "I know, honey. A gift was purchased by me for Grandpa. There is it in my pickup. The following day, when there are less people yelling, we will deliver it." There was never any mention of his birthday tonight. Aunt Beatrice was trying to show off her superiority. We made our way back home. The kids were put to bed by Josie. During the time that I waited for the phone to ring, I sat in my garage. Exactly 17 minutes. It is, of course, Beatrice. The call was left on my voicemail. A great deal of yelling about humiliation and family, and I was wondering how I could possibly do this. Next, Dylan placed a call. Just as accusing, but with a greater degree of control. If you are playing a game, Theo, you need to apologize. I am not sure what game you are playing. It is not appropriate to do so. We form a family. It was a lovely irony that Dylan would lecture me about the importance of family loyalty. The final person to call was Dad. Son, I am completely confused about what took place. Being irritated as Beatrice. The bill needed to be placed on Dylan's credit card. Talk to me. It was not one of them that I called. Rather than that, I opened up my laptop and retrieved the websites of my business accounts. Not only was Donovan's auto repair profitable, but it was also doing business quite well. Already, my accountant was making suggestions regarding potential franchise opportunities. I had constructed all of this without any assistance from my relatives. Neither recognition nor interest were present. I took my children to my father's house the following morning in order to deliver his gift, which was a vintage tool set that he had been wanting for many years. The quest took me 3 months and cost me a total of $1,350. While he was in his robe, holding a cup of coffee, Dad responded, appearing fatigued. Is it possible for us to talk? Parents, please wait in the truck. In his living room, we were seated. Same furniture from when I was a child. Same photographs. Dylan's graduation served as a highlight. There was a spot where I had my graduation. According to Dad, your sister is in a lot of distress. It seems likely to me. She claims that you made her feel ashamed. The fact that she offered to give me money without asking for it was embarrassing for her. And she pondered. She made an assumption. She concocted a tale about a promotion that does not exist in the real world. Attempts were made to guilt me by utilizing Mom's recollection, and I was informed that I would pay without confirming it. Dad was quite silent. One may have simply paid for it. I had a birthday that day. That bill's total was $5,940. Dad. It was the most expensive restaurant in the city, and Beatrice invited 11 people, half of whom were strangers, to eat there. She expected me to pay for it since she believed that I could afford it. She did not inquire about it. Your family is supportive of one another. Exactly when was the last time that any member of this family assisted me? What was the most recent time that Dylan inquired about my well-being? Uncomfortably, Dad shifted slightly. Your sister and brother both have very hectic schedules. I feel the same way. On the other hand, I'm only a mechanic, so nobody cares about me, right? There was only Theo, who was unable to succeed in college. That is not something I ever stated. You were not required to do so. There is a profound quiet. I want you to stop treating me like the family charity case who ought to be grateful for scraps. Finally, Dad remarked, I don't understand what you want. I want you to stop talking to me like that. It is not true. He paused, and then looked down at his hands. Is that the way you truly feel today? During each and every get-together, Dad. Each and every time Beatrice makes a comment about assisting me in finding job, and each and every time Dylan's name is mentioned. There is a lot of silence. The last thing he said was that your mother loved you. It's true. Aside from her, she is the only person who inquired about my day and was interested in learning about my work. My voice became paused. I long for her. Even so, my son. I stood up. Best wishes for your birthday. There is a present waiting for you in the corridor. Prior to him being able to answer, I departed. A month had transpired. No one gave a call. Although I was under the impression that people were talking about me, I found that being the subject of gossip was less painful than being ignored. On the other hand, Dylan arrived to my store. While I was in the third bay on Tuesday afternoon, Alex poked his head in without my permission. Dylan, dressed in business casual attire, stood in the customer service department and looked about as if he had just landed on Mars. Boss, someone is asking for you. He remarked, this is much larger than I had anticipated. I did not give a response. Are you able to meet in a private setting? I escorted him to my main office. A little room with a desk, photographs of the family, and a window that looks out over the shop floor. The unwelcome Dylan sat down and glanced around. What is the total number of bays? 14 inches total. What brings you to this location? Something you expressed about feeling like a charity case was relayed to me by my father. As for me, I don't think I've ever considered it in that light. He paused for a moment. To be honest, you don't really share that much. In the same vein, you do not, unless it is to boast. His body jerked. Doesn't that seem unfair to you? Since when was the last time you inquired about my life history? The office, the framed company licenses, and the certificate signed by the Chamber of Commerce recognizing Donovan's auto repair as the small business of the year were all things that he took careful notice of. You are the owner of this location. I am the owner of 4 different locations. There was a quick progression of expressions on Dylan's face. Surprise, disbelief, and calculation are all emotions. What is the amount? Nobody cares about you at all. How about you, Theo? Brotherhood is ours. Yes, we are related. Each brother is concerned about the other's well-being. Over the course of 17 years, you have treated me as if I were the burden on the family. It wasn't me. He came to a halt. I did, don't you think? It's true. I was wondering how long you've had these. During my 23rd year, I made my first purchase. Math was done by him. Aged 18 years. 18 years of family dinners during which nobody voiced any questions. I have listened to you talk about your life for 18 years while everyone else has ignored mine. Wow. It was clear that he was being shaken. The amount of money made? Well-being. More than I bring in. Of great importance. A deep sigh was exhaled by him. Things are going to get out of hand for Beatrice. If you do not notify Beatrice, she will not be aware of the situation. Not a single thing is being demonstrated here. This is about me being able to operate my business and live my life without constantly being told that I am not good enough for the bunch of people who have a Stanford MBA. Dylan, that is not the case. Please halt. The truth is known to you. Silence for a long time. No, I'm sorry. That is the case. I had no intention of making you feel like you were not there, but you did. Indeed, you did it. And he stood. What you have constructed is very remarkable. I was unable to complete this task. Thank you. Is it possible to begin again? In reality, they are brothers. According to my assessment, Dylan was not evil but rather oblivious. Perhaps. However, the first step is to start treating me like an equal rather than a project. A deal. As he departed, I went back to my desk job. The call came from Dad, 3 weeks later. There is no need to yell. Just discuss. He said that your brother had informed him. You were told what? With regard to your companies? It's true. Are you sure you didn't tell me? What if you had trusted what I said? After that, there was silence. Not likely at all. First of all, exactly the same. Please accept my sincere apologies, son. It is a significant one. Many years were spent